Hello, and welcome to another episode of Fleet Momentum, brought to you by Automotive Fleet. This episode is sponsored by and produced in partnership with US Bank. Before we get into today's episode, remember to follow and connect with us on social media. Be sure to subscribe to the Automotive Fleet YouTube channel so you don't miss future episodes of Fleet Momentum. In today's episode, Fleet Group Editor Chris Brown sits down with Michelle Erickson, Senior Product Manager for US Bank. They discuss connected vehicle commerce and payments, the impact of COVID-19 on fleet transactions, must-have features in a fleet payment solution, and much more. And now, Chris's conversation with Michelle.
Michelle, welcome.
Hi, Chris.
So let's talk about some high-level trends in where and how fleet payments have an impact. The first one is connected vehicles. It seems a discussion topic in fleet, but how are you seeing this market shape up from Voyager's perspective?
Yeah, so Voyager actually in partnership with MasterCard completed a connected car pilot a couple of years back. And we did that so that we could take some time to understand the complexities and the possibilities that the technology could eventually bring to our fleet customers. At the time, it was really limited to telematics type data, but today it's really grown to include things such as internet access and mobile commerce capabilities.
So as this trend becomes more of a reality, how should fleets be thinking about connected vehicles as they relate specifically to payments?
Sure. Mobile commerce within connected vehicles is just getting started, but it's where Voyager will be able to assist our fleet customers the most and where we feel the fleets should focus some of their future needs. Mobile commerce will provide many things for them. Just to name a couple are the security components that are used in the encrypted technology to tokenize will provide that extra layer of security. It also provides program optimization. Fleet managers eventually could eliminate physical card distribution and management. And then, of course, you can't leave out the driver experience. Today, they use cards and they have to enter in data. And if you could move that into that mobile commerce space where the vehicle and all of those data elements are actually captured by that technology, it really streamlines the user experience as well.
Sure. We all know that Voyager Fleet processes millions of transactions. And as we're exiting one of the most disruptive years in history, are there any high-level data points to share?
Sure. Yes. Yeah. The last year has definitely been a challenging year, and it continues to be so here in 2021 for many people. From a fleet perspective, specifically in reference to Voyager data, we had a noticeable dip in transaction volumes at the end of quarter one and into quarter two of 2020, with a view towards recover really starting at the end of quarter two. We saw a consistent increase in quarter over quarter transaction volumes with what we would consider probably that return to normal volume here in quarter one of 2021. I think what that really shows us is that even through this pandemic that we all experienced, our fleets were still out there running and providing goods and services to all their folks.
Yeah, sure. If that weren't enough, we've all experienced some unprecedented weather-related events. The floods in Florida, the cold snap in Texas, the fires in Northern California. Tell me what you're seeing there from a payment solution perspective.
Right. Like the pandemic, fleets are experiencing the need to react to the unexpected. Does my driver need to stay at a hotel and or get food because his route is taking longer than was expected or planned? Did my driver have to take an alternate, unexpected route and now is in a more rural area for fueling? So from a payment solutions perspective, we need to be able to support our customers in this reaction, and we need to do it in a near real-time fashion, just like they are having to do.
What about other post-COVID trends? Like working from home. How is Voyager Fleet addressing those?
I guess I wouldn't call this one a trend so much as a challenge that we're experiencing right now, but the shortage within our supply chains. For example, the current shortage of chip technology is impacting the production of vehicles. as chips, you may know, are used in the vehicle technology, just like they're used in your smartphones and your credit cards today. Understanding and planning for fleet vehicle replacement, given those supply shortages, is a real challenge facing many of our fleet managers. This may require extending the replacement cycle of vehicles by keeping existing fleets longer, which in turn may require more spend on maintenance. You also have the aspect of work from home, as you stated. How that impacts our fleet companies really depends on what the nature of their fleet is. It may mean driving less. It may mean driving more. So fleets are probably taking this opportunity to take a look at what it would take to shift to that electric vehicle component. Does it require home charging for their fleets? Does it require investing in charging stations at their offices? How will that be managed from a payment perspective, and what are their options for those payment vehicles in that respect? So they're also maybe looking at the options of renting or leasing vehicles or sharing vehicles as another alternative. So the role of a fuel card may change to purchasing fuel to paying for public charging. So that's where we really see, Voyager can step in and start to really help our customers.
When it comes to fleet payment solutions specifically, what are the must-haves today that weren't part of the conversation, say, 10 years ago?
Yeah, advancement in technology is a definite must. And it's something you're seeing not only within the fleets, but as consumers as well, right? Examples from a consumer and a fleet perspective would be contactless cards, cardless, or virtual payments. And I think another big one that you didn't really talk about much 10 years ago, at least not in the same sense, is data and the ability to mine that data and make it useful for yourself. 5 to 10 years ago, people were using data out of a spreadsheet, right? They were looking at an individual transaction by transaction and one source of data. Now, fleet managers have multiple sources of data. They can layer data in from the vehicle itself. They can layer it in from telematics and GPS. They can layer in the fuel components and the maintenance purchases. So all of these points can provide a fleet manager a more holistic view into their fleet management. But to use that, we must provide a means for the fleet managers to digest that, to visually represent that information, and then be able to make that data useful. And data analytics dashboards are the way within which, from a Voyager perspective, that we're doing that.
So tell us about the new U.S. Bank Voyager Fleet MasterCard payment solution. How is it different from other solutions in the market?
Yeah, the Voyager MasterCard fleet card is a single piece of plastic, and it contains the ability to access 2 different network rails, both the Voyager and MasterCard, via the chip that's contained in that card. This is the first fleet card to use chip technology to support 2 new rails, so it's pretty exciting. What this will do is it will allow for our customers that are accustomed to a traditional fuel card today to expand to meet other fleet transaction needs. For example, the driver needs to pass through a set of tolls on his or her route. Previously, this wasn't available on a traditional fleet card. Today, it would be. The new product will also allow for other expansions based on the fleet manager's assessment of need and their approval for those types of transactions, but they could approve an unexpected stay in Texas because of the storms. Or maybe there's a detour that takes the driver to a more rural area where Voyager may not be handy or accessible at that time. So the Voyager MasterCard will also have the ability for those over-the-road drivers that may have a stop in Canada or maybe a stop in a Mexican station where they wouldn't have been able to use their card to manage those transactions previously. They'll be able to do that tomorrow with this new product. And then really to top it all off, you can't, not look at the fleet manager, right? And their ability to manage all of this reaction and additional controls and expansion is on a single platform. So not only a single piece of plastic in their driver's hands, but a single platform for them to actually manage those controls, manage that access to that flexibility, and really do that all in one contained system. So ultimately, Voyager wants to meet the needs of our fleets, as we've learned over this past year and a half, this changing environment and the need to be able to react just like our customers are reacting. And we'll really be able to do that with this new Voyager MasterCard product offering.
Great. Well, that's all the questions I have. Thank you, Michelle. That's a plethora of information. And I want to thank you for joining the Fleet Momentum video series.
Thank you.